with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me. You could be around for
You could be with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me.
Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to the Tuesday night call-in show where we were actually going to be talking about a little something different, but I had to change it at the last minute because, of course, the Kremlins have attacked my system, and the file I was going to use in the video exemplar I was going to show has been corrupted. So tonight we're still going to do that show about a man being erased, a stepdad being erased after 17 years and kind of the pitfalls of him entering into that type of relationship. We're still going to do that show. It'll probably be this Thursday, though, just so that I can get everything set up and then download it properly. But in the interim, because we have so many Sister Wives fans and we can still kind of stay on the same topic, let's address David Wooley as the stepfather, because I think that that's something. There's so much focus on David and Christine's relationship and or Christine and Kody's relationship with regard to Truly and how they're going to co-parent, that very little attention has been really paid to, like, how does David come in and incorporate himself in the family? What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? What are the things he should be worried about as he considers doing this? And even as he started dating Christine. So I want to get everybody's opinion. I'm going to, of course, we're going to open up the floor for everybody to leave messages, or not messages, for you to be able to call in. And we can have that full-on discussion. But in the interim, let me give a few moments for everybody to have an opportunity to come into the room and get settled and everything. We'll play a little music, and then we'll get started right off. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to get to it.
Yeah, hey, yeah. Scrolling through the tube, all the thumbnails flash. Cats doing flips, pranks gone bad, they crash. But now you landed here where the beats don't miss. Yeah, algorithm point, but you hit my abyss. Oh. Coulda clicked the cooking show. Coulda learned to tie a boat. But you chose this flow. So let's go, yeah. You could be watching any YouTube channel, but you're here with me, grab the remote, dismantle. Lost in the pixels, but the vibe too ample. You could've clicked away, now you're stuck in my scandal. ASMR whispers, mukbang feast, unbox therapy or conspiracy priest. But now you're in a trap, this rap's your feast. Chewing on the words, every line unleashed. A million views, a billion streams, but don't hit the vein of these digital dreams. You could surf the net, but you stayed in my scheme. Caught up in my rhythm, my beat supreme. Could be watching any YouTube channel, but you're here with me, grab the remote, dismantle. Lost in the pixels, but the vibe too ample. You could've clicked away, now you're stuck in my scandal. Yeah.
All right. Before they get started again, hold on. We won't get caught in a YouTube scandal twice. What? What? He's so crazy. Yeah, I'm try to get myself on screen in a minute. Gotta do some things, but yeah, guys. Before we get started, I know a lot of people were very excited about David's interaction with the kids and how the kids were taking them and all that stuff. But, you know, there are things when you're a person, I'm not even going to say a single dad or a dad coming into a relationship, a man coming into a relationship, because there are moms or women who come into these relationships as well with men who have children. And they too are bonus parents or step parents or whatever. So I don't think that this is something that's isolated or gender specific. I don't think that this is something that we can look at and say, yeah, the men need to be worried about coming in with these women, with these kids, because, oh my goodness, these women will be trying to take advantage of you. I personally is I consider a lot of this stuff and I look at how these relationships start and everything that goes into them. I think that it's a internet phenomenon where the excuses they use, even the video that I was going to present today. So I think that even the video I was going to provide depicts a guy who is paying for everything, and then through the course of 17 years, he's taking care of the child financially, and then they get to graduation, or in some cases, it's like when they're about to get married, all of a sudden, the biological father pops up and he compromises the stepdad and puts him in a bad situation where the child is choosing the biological father or parent over the step parent. And it's easy. Like, one of the things that I've always said with even with Sister Wives, when I would do my reviews of Sister Wives, and we would talk about Kody Pass incessantly, or talking about the money and the finances incessantly, like, oh my goodness, the money and Kody and Robin are ripping them off. The reason why I targeted those things specifically is because that's something quantifiable we can look at and see whether it's equal or not. We can see fairness in that situation. If Robin and Kody are walking away with 90% of the family assets and the other three wives have to split the other 10%, then we can easily say that that's not a fair situation or equitable situation. Forget fair. Fair is what you pay to get on the bus. It's not an equitable situation, right? But when you're talking about being a step parent, I think it goes much deeper than how much money you put out. I think it goes towards your investment of love, time, attention. Instead of counting dollars and cents, start counting sacrifices. What sacrifices are you making for your family? Like, because that's what that is. That's not you're making a sacrifice for somebody else's child. When you bring in a bonus child or a stepchild, you're bringing in a person into your family. That person is part of your family. So you may not be on YouTube, everybody's rich. On TikTok, everybody's rich. Oh, I paid for the $100,000 wedding out my pocket. No problem. That's what I do because I'm a boss player and I got used. That may be true for a small percentage, but usually in these situations, the step parents are the ones who, with the parents, are the ones making. Oh yeah, I can put the chats on screen. Are the ones making the sacrifices with the children. You know what I mean? They're making the sacrifices with the other parent. So when birthdays come or Christmas comes, or there's trips or school trips you want to send them on, or maybe you want to buy them school clothes or get them something nice or take them on vacation. When you don't have the money, even as the step parent, you feel a certain kind of way about it. That breaks your heart too. And you give up things that you may want for yourself, things that you may want to achieve for yourself, maybe things that you want to have or purchase for yourself. You put those things aside because you're trying to provide for your family and make sure your family is okay, only to be turned around and told later on that those sacrifices don't mean anything because you're not the daddy. You're not a parent. You're not the bio person. And I think that that's the part that actually hurts. It's not just the fact that you spent a bunch of money, because if you're going to give something to somebody, I've always taken a position that if I give you something, I want you to have it, right? If I give you something, it's yours for you to have. So if I give you some money, money is what it is. I'm not going to sit there and pretend like money ain't important, because it is. But, if I give you money, what you do with that money is, I've already, in my mind, that's your money. But when I'm making sacrifices, those sacrifices, I think, to me, impact me way more than money will. So if, like, for instance, if you have a stepchild and you have a fantastic opportunity, like say whatever career you're a part of, somebody comes in with this wonderful opportunity, you could move across country and you could quadruple your salary if you move across country. And you say to yourself, you know what, I could take that opportunity. The only problem is I have to go by myself and I'll be away from my family and I can't help with my family. Or I can pass up on this opportunity, as wonderful as it is, to make sure my family is okay. And when you make that sacrifice, even though you might have lost a good bit of money, maybe it was a dream or something that you were chasing that could have made your dreams come true. But you put that on the back burner for somebody else, and then only to be told that your sacrifices don't mean anything. Because I think that that's part of the struggle that a lot of these step parents actually go through. They're told that their sacrifices don't mean anything, and that's what they're afraid of. Now, of course, there are endless um YouTube videos and TikTok videos advising young men about never getting involved with a woman who has children. I don't think that that's realistic, because on the other side of it, you could look at it and say, okay, yeah, you're gonna be there for like 18 years. As soon as that child turned 18, everybody gonna start showing their real colors, and then you gonna feel like a dumbass because they're gonna tell you that you was getting used the whole time, because she wasn't looking for a husband, she wasn't looking for a boyfriend, she was looking for a rent-a-pop. She was looking for somebody to take care of her kids, and that's where you fall in, that big dummy, right? But there's a flip side to that. Because I've also seen situations where a person will get involved with a child, and the child grows up and they're close to that step parent. They see that step parent as their parent, and they're appreciative of that step parent. And not only are they appreciative of that step parent, but in some cases they want that step parent to adopt them, and they want to take their name, and because they're that important to them. So I think that is the other part that counterbalances. Now, when we talk about Christine and David, I think so much emphasis is placed on Christine's kids that a lot of the attention that we don't pay, or a lot of things we don't pay attention to, is how David's kids are dealing with this. Because David isn't the only step parent. Christine is also a step parent. And this is a person who has, ties to Kody's other kids, Janelle's kids, and Mary's child. This is a person who already has deep ties to other children, right? Uh, a lot of other children, even Robin's kids to a point. So she has to try to, she has to navigate that situation as well. And it's kind of curious to me, like, how does David deal with the fact that so much emphasis is placed on how well he's doing with Truly, and what is he doing with Truly, and whether Aspen and Isabel is accepting him, but no, there's zero attention as to whether his kids are accepting Christine and what their relationship looks like. It seems like we're, even as a fan base, we're hyper focused on how Christine's kids are being treated in this situation, and David's kids are being completely ignored. And in that sense, how do you think David's kids feel about that? Like, granted, they didn't grow up on TV. The fan base wouldn't know them. If they appeared on a show, we might need the subtitle telling us who they are. But at the same time, we may not know who they are, but they're important to them. You know what I mean? They want to be recognized. They want people to care about their opinions. So I'm a little curious what folks are thinking about with regard to David. Like I said, I mean, he's coming into a situation that problem is already set. There's already issues. There's already concerns. How does David deal with it? Because I'll say right from the rip, the prospect of being a step parent is not for the weak. It's not for the weak at all. Because there are a lot of responsibilities that you have as a step parent, and even as a parent, if we're going to be honest about it, parenthood and parenting is a thankless job. Like, people will appreciate you, but it's a hard job because the fun part, the easy part, everybody loves. Everybody loves birthdays, holidays, births, weddings, and all the exciting stuff. But the real job of parenting comes in when, and what makes it hard is the talking to your kids about having those hard conversations, instructing them when, things don't go right or when they do the wrong thing. That's the hard part of parenting. It's a thankless job. And when you're a step parent, whether we like it or not, you enter into a relationship and you have a sense of vulnerability, because no matter how much you pour into them, no matter how much you sacrifice for them, at the end of the day, if things don't work out between you and that child's mother or father, you don't have rights to see that child. You can't, there's not a court you can go to say, I've raised this child since they were 2 months old. I was there. The father had been abandoning them. He found out she was pregnant. He left her, or, whatever the case may be. She left, found out she was 2 months pregnant. She didn't want to be with the father. I came into that child's life, when they were born after 2 months, and I raised them all the way up to the time they were 16 years old. Now, my relationship with my significant other hasn't worked out. And I'd like to have a relationship with this child that I've raised, sacrificed, invested in, et cetera, built a relationship with. They call me mom, they call me dad, et cetera. I want to continue that relationship. A court will say that you don't have standing, and your case will immediately be thrown out of court. You have zero rights. And that's the hard ass that you are when you're a parent, a single parent, trying to date people. That's the hard ass that actually comes through. Even with Christine, she had to ask David to do that, but then at the same time, oh yeah, by the way, we're also going to film it and be on TV. And if you mess up, or if you leave, or if something happens, you will be heavily criticized and potentially could ruin your business. Good luck, buddy. Is this Kody? I'm a step parent. Is not for the weak, but I am so happy that even though my husband passed 9 years ago, I still have a relationship with my stepmids. Okay. And that's the thing too, is that sometimes it can be, like I said, it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom where everything is, if you're going to be a step parent, it's all going to end terribly. Sometimes it ends happily. People are successful with the blended family, but I think that there has to be like with most things, I think there has to be a warning label attached to it. I just want people to be aware of what they're getting into as they start to pursue it. I want to give a shout out to, we have a new member as well. Hold on one second. Wanted to do that before we got started. Nada's a new member. Welcome. Hopefully you enjoy the conversations. Again, if you remember, we have the Saturday memberships round table where you can call in, and we have a whole panel discussion. We bring everybody up or at least as many people as I can fit in to my system. And we bring them up, and we all have an open conversation about whatever. They get pretty deep sometimes. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, by all means, join us. It's Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. But welcome, Nada Jolly. All right. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Megan trying to say her stepdad was the best. Yeah, sometimes I mean that's just what it is sometimes too. Like you just get a good person to marry. And again, I don't want to say like David coming into Christine's situation, he might be what she needs. The problem is sometimes it's not necessarily what you need as a person, it's just what you need at the time. And that's where it gets complicated, you know, especially if one person is heavily committed to the family and the other person isn't as much so. I'm not saying that's the case with Christine and David. I'm just saying that, that's one of the drawbacks. Let's see. I actually want to study this as a researcher, as step families beyond the initial blending is woefully understudied. I think that that's true too, because there's so much. I think that it's that's what gives a rise to a lot of the generalities that we see on TikTok or YouTube, as far as the failure rate of blended families. Um, and then like there's also a point too where you like if you're actually going to study, you have to come up with parameters for said study. Especially if you plan on doing anything statistically, you have to come up with specific parameters as to like you can't just say, well, they're still together, so that equals success, because you could be miserable and stay together. And you could also be, a little more distant and people enjoy their space. So it's harder to determine like success rates and failure rates. Of course, everything is always overshadowed by the like hyper failure, where you have extreme situations where people just come out and they completely obliterate like any real tangible experience, because they come out with such a horror story of things that have happened. Like I said, it's an extreme case where you have somebody who is paying like $100,000 for a wedding, and then all of a sudden the person they're paying, the stepchild they're paying for the wedding for, says, you know what, I don't want you in the wedding. I want my natural dad, who has never been around, never paid any money, to do the wedding, and you're not invited. So it's kind of that foolishness of, I still want you to pay for it, but I don't think you should be allowed to come to it. Like, what? Because it's gonna make my dad uncomfortable. Well, the hell with that. If you know what's gonna make him uncomfortable, if I slide his ass this bill, that's what's gonna make him uncomfortable. so I mean, it's always those kind of stories that gets everybody's attention, but it's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily the case. So I mean, if there were more studies or more information out there, I think that would be helpful, especially helpful to not only help people to navigate whether they choose to be in these relationships, but give people information before as they choose to get in a relationship, so that they understand what they're getting involved with and what the potential problems could be. And in that way, it also becomes easier to counsel in these types of situations. What is this? I never had a problem with the kids. It was their mom that caused the issues. Yeah. We're all good now and can hang out at holidays and everything. Yeah. Well, because there's the I mean, you're always combating the idea of being replaced. You know. It's just kind of it's just one of those weird situations where even if the parent, the crazy thing is, I've seen situations where guys won't be involved with the kids at all, and then guys and young ladies won't be involved with the kids at all until the baby mom or baby dad who has custody gets a new boyfriend or girlfriend. Then all of a sudden they back. They back 100%. You know what I mean? And everything's got to be run through them as far as decision making is concerned. You got to call me and ask me what's going on. You can't just have people around my kids. It's ridiculous. You know, that kind of stuff. So I put the link in. No, I don't see it. But I'm going to drop the link. So if you guys want to call in, you're more than welcome. And we have like I said, we'll be doing the bigger video or the bigger discussion of it with the guy, the exemplar I pulled this Thursday. Here's the link. I'll drop it up top. Message. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so you're more than welcome to call in. Yeah, but I just think that like when it comes down to it, like Kody and them, especially the way Kody is, like talking about like David being a stepdad and his influence and how this could impact him, especially with Kody. He has a way of sucking out so much air out of a room that I think it would be. I think it would be hard for David because, like, you know, as one of the people mentioned earlier, you know, sometimes it's not the child at all. It's just navigating the relationship between you and the other biological parent, because they go from not wanting to be, like I said, they go from not wanting to be involved at all, not wanting to have to deal with them at all, to all of a sudden they want to be able to make all the decisions. They want to be able to make all the choices. They want to be able to have their opinion not only heard, but they want to have their opinion be the primary opinion. They want to come in and start controlling what happens in your house. And I think that that's part of the bigger problem, is that it becomes a power struggle. You know, my kid lives there, so I should be able to have some say of what goes on in your house. Like, whoa, you know, I have to be able to control my home, you know, and what happens in my four walls. Like, I don't mind your input because you are the child's father, but at the same time, bruh, what are we doing? But we got Megatron in the house. What's going on, Megatron? How you doing?
Oh, hey, I'm first tonight. Hey, y'all.
Yeah, you jumping right in line.
Yes, because this step parent conference. Listen, y'all already know I'm divorced, and yeah, let's just go and get in there. To a degree, step parents, I feel like, because I had the best stepdad in the world. I mean, he was everything. Like, he was dad. Like, I don't even call him stepdad. He's my dad. Like, he raised me. He and my mom got together when I was 2. So they were together for a long time. Now on the opposite end, when I married my ex, now husband, he had 3 kids already. 2 baby mamas. So like, we had to work through that because it was hard to be a step parent and have that child's other parent, like you were just saying, oh, well, I need to be in charge because they at your house. And I'm like, yeah, you can be in charge at your house, but at my house, these are my rules.
Right.
And we kind of had to, we danced around that whole thing for a while. And when they saw, okay, if my child is going to have any kind of relationship with dad, we have to back up a little bit and let them parent at their house. Because you can't come over here and dictate nothing. Like, this place was established before. You know what I'm saying? So being on both sides, having the best stepdad in the world was awesome. And then being a step parent, it was horrible. But then it got better. I think it's like any relationship. We just had to find our balance and work through it and find the maturity to want to work through it.
Right.
With like David, I like David. I think his daughter like gushes. I think she fangirls over Christine a lot because I think she has like a YouTube or she has a channel or something because I remember her saying that she convinced David to go out with Christine or something of that effect.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
Negla, now am I wrong?
No. I remember her saying that. It was
I
almost
remember
like
her
an
saying
altar
that.
before. Yeah, she's single. That was
Okay,
a big thing. Yeah.
that's what she says. Like, Dad, she's single. You need to do. So I feel like I don't know. It was motive there from the
Mhm.
daughters. You know what I mean? I feel like some motives was happening because the daughter kind of encouraged David to talk to Christine or pursue her or whatever. Um,
Right. Right.
and now when Robin came on the scene, yeah, because that's how Robin did when she came on the scene. Like she was telling them they had to move out if they didn't sign their family's something statement, and Robin was doing a bit much when she
Right.
came into that family.
Well, because
So
I
I
guess
don't
that
know, man.
that opens the door for the because even part of these conversations, and one of the things that a lot of the people who are anti step parent would point out is what do you do about discipline? Because, like you mentioned, with Robin coming into the family, all of a sudden she's making demands and saying, if you don't do this, you got to get out. You got to pack a bag and go because it's not going to
Yeah.
go down. Like, how much of that do you think plays a part in uh, the success or failures of people coming into these types of relationships?
So personally, it plays a big part because again, coming from having a step parent, my stepdad, well, my dad, he okay. It's five of us. My parents have five kids. I'm the baby
Mhm.
of five, right? So by the time my quote unquote stepdad came on the scene, all of my siblings were 11, 12. They were almost teenagers or teenagers. I was the only one that was in infancy, right?
Right.
So he would discipline me, like a parent. He popped my bottom if I did something, which was rarely. I got away with everything. But if he had no hesitation to correct. Hush, y'all. He had no qualms about correcting me, like popping my hand or swat my butt or whatever. Now
Right.
my siblings were different because they were teenagers when he came on the scene. He would delegate that to my mom because they weren't comfortable with him discipline, and my mom kind of was uncomfortable with it too.
Okay.
Now I was the only one that it was free game because I was a baby when they got together. So
Right.
yeah, like he would discipline me, no hesitation. But the older kids, he'd have a stern talking to, like, "Hey, I don't like this, or you did this, or whatever. When your mom gets home, we're gonna talk about it." And then he and my mom would talk about whatever. And I vividly remember my brother breaking his window one day. Like he was trying to lift too many weights and he broke the living room window.
Hmm.
And my stepdad was like, "Well, your mom is at work, but she's gonna hear about it or whatever." Him and my brother got into an altercation or whatever. Um, well, he called my mom at work and my mom sent our dad over. And my dad came and did the discipline. So now from that standpoint, I think they did it what worked for them. I don't think that works for everybody because you'll have somebody like me. If your child is in my house and they do something like that, oh, I'm getting in their hands part. If you
Mm.
don't want me touching your child, then they don't need to be in my home. My stepdad was different. He didn't mind, my daddy coming over and getting on one of my brothers for doing something. That didn't bother him. Me personally, you can't come in my house and dish out any kind of discipline in my house.
Right.
So that is definitely a big part. Like that needs to be talked about day one. Okay, if I'm going to be a part of your life and your children's lives, how we finna do this? And the other parent needs to be in that conversation as well because as my children have quote unquote step siblings with dad, I don't feel comfortable with her touching my kids or hitting my kids. I don't even feel comfortable with you doing it. So how about both of y'all call me if something is going on?
Hmm.
That's just me. But we've had that conversation and he knows, his wife knows, I know, and my kids know. But under no circumstances is her or her family members allowed to discipline my kids. So I mean, I guess that's just a conversation you have to have at the beginning.
Mm.
Because I
Well,
don't
let
need
me.
one of my kids calling me in the middle of the night. Mush D hit me. Who hit who? What? Yeah, that's not gonna be pretty.
Well, because I'm kind of curious then, like, because in that situation, is it that you don't? Is it that there's a concern that they would overdo it, or
Yes.
it's just the boundary issue?
So my concern is, again, this is getting to know these people is important because I don't know her. You understand? Like, I don't know her. I don't. There's nothing that she's done or said that would give me any inkling of what, because okay, my version of a punishment, or my definition of a punishment or spanking is different from yours. So whereas me taking your phone is a punishment, that person's punishment, James, may be making you lift a 200-pound cinder block while you're squatting in the corner. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right, right,
I don't
right.
know you enough to know, like, the definitions are not being defined with me specifically.
Right.
Because when you say discipline, what do you mean? Do you mean you're going to get a belt? Are you going to get a switch? Are you going to take their phones? Are you going to deny them food? Are you going, like, what is your definition of discipline? And that is
Right.
important, because whereas I probably just take a phone and you're not allowed to, go to the birthday party you were supposed to go to this weekend. Your version is waterboarding them in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what your definition of discipline is.
Right, right.
So, and that's one of the things that I don't trust. We haven't discussed it. We haven't talked about it. And their dad is not willing for all of us to be adults and sit in one room to have that discussion. So that's why my stance is, no, you can't discipline them, because the three adults involved here have not sat down together, came up with an action plan of, well, what happens if this happens when they're there? No, he's not willing to sit down because, again, typical A-white, he's still trying to play both sides. He still want her mad at me mad at her. And I'm like, look, I don't got time for none of that.
Right.
If we're going to co-parent, let's co-parent, but we're all doing it together. And he's not willing to do that. So that's my reasoning for, you can't discipline them until we have a conversation.
No, I mean, that makes
Because
sense.
again, James, I don't know your definition of, whereas I will grab a belt and tear your behind up.
Right.
You might not like that. That might not, that's, and that's fine. If your choice is non-corporal punishment, that is your right and your choice. But again, my house, we do corporal punishment. So.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that there's also, like, because even with that, because I've even said historically that when you get into relationships with people, you want to define simple terms, even things like cheating. What do you consider cheating to be? Because everybody has a different definition of what, to them, what cheating actually is and what it actually consists of. And I think that when you're talking about kids, like I said, especially with punishment, how do you punish? Do you punish for vindication, for vengeance, or do you punish to try to, as a tool to teach? And so those different, like, just that very subtle difference in approach could be the difference between, okay, like, because for me,
somebody here click and boom.
I'm more likely to talk a kid to death. You know what I'm saying? I'll talk your ass to death. By the time I get finished talking to you, like, just grab the belt, beat the shit out of me so I can be done with it. I can go to bed. I'm tired of listening to this shit.
I'm telling you, look.
Questions, because I want you to understand what it is. But, at the same time, like, everything has to be in, I think, I haven't really had to use corporal punishment on these kids. But.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with it, but honestly, I think in my 20 years of being a parent, James, I've only had to spank twice.
Right. Yeah.
And that was my oldest son. I've never had to spank the twins because they don't, I mean, a lot of times if I yell at them, the eyes get watery, the lips tremble, like their feelings are hurt. My oldest one was a little, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
That boy,
Yeah, my daughter
And that was really when he hit puberty. Like when he
Oh,
was 13, I kind of had to go upside his head. Um, like I said again, in 20 years of parenting, 3 children, I've only had to spank twice
mm.
in 20
Well, I mean,
years, and that was really not even an overreaction, but that was just me not knowing how to deal with my emotions.
mhm.
And I did apologize. It was, you know what, I should not have got out of control, but let's figure out why I'm out of control and what caused, you know what I mean? Like we was able to talk through it after the initial pap, the skibbity paps was landed.
Was distributed.
We was,
I guess we even
yeah,
distribution of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Everybody was able to calm down afterwards, and it was a conversation had. And I have that he just turned 20, and that was when he was 13. Yeah,
Mm. Well, because I mean, like I said, I think that it's just a matter of like
yeah,
too. I think it's also like temperament because you just mentioned temperament. And one of the
yeah,
things that was instilled in me, like early on when I was even from when I was a kid, that you don't spank angry. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because then it stops being about correction and it starts being about you being pissed. And
Yes,
that's when
yes,
things can get out of hand. You know what I mean? That's when you just because you
yeah.
hurt them a little bit and you want to hurt them some more and you want to keep hurting them,
Yeah.
and that's how your ass wind up in jail. You know what I'm saying?
Don't be like my mom. My mom was the type. Every time she thought about it, she would get you would get it. You would get it. And it
Right,
was
right.
more so I had a brother that, and my son reminded me so much of my brother because he was just always doing stupid stuff. You know, you ever met somebody, James, that they just do stupid stuff? They know what they shouldn't do and they know it's stupid and they do it anyway. And then my son and my brother, they both have this stupid look on their face when they do it, and it goes exactly how they thought it was going to go, which was stupid. And then they have this victim, and it's like, but why would you stick a fork in the plug? What is, now that was
Right.
the first time my son got his hind part tore because why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you stick a fork in the freaking wall socket? Now you got the whole neighborhood, all the lights is out in the whole neighborhood. You done blew by 3 transformers.
Right, right.
And I'm just sitting here like, now that was just
And you
stupid.
lucky because technically you could be here on fire. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. You
I could
could
put
be
your ass
hard
out.
stop, anything, you know, and that was the first time he got a spanking because it's like, now you're doing stupid stuff for stupid reasons. Like it's not even an accident at this point. You're just doing stuff. Now I'm in the middle of trying to cook. Now I don't have no power. Can't cook. You know, it was just a whole lot. But
Well, I
spanking,
mean, that
the
also
matter of
goes
fact,
back.
the only 2 times I spanked and I was angry. I was angry at the time.
Right.
Normally we able to talk through it, but it was life was happening. I ain't got no money. Like I'm trying to cook this last pack of meat, and now you about to mess it up because you being stupid. Like what are we doing here? Like what are we doing?
Yeah, but I think some of that too is like one of the initial things of being a parent. You're trying to save your child's life at some
Yes,
point. You'll get around there and mess around, kill yourself.
kill yourself. Like for what? No reason at all.
And I'm there trying to explain to the police why you was in there with a fork playing around with a thing and I wasn't watching you. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm in here trying to cook, been working, done work 2 jobs today, and I'm trying to cook and have some semblance of a life and making it seem, not making it seem, but trying to make it work. Again, I was a single mom, money was funny, and I'm trying to prove a point like I can do this on my own. I don't need my mama help. You know how it is. People, oh, she gonna fail. And I'm gonna make sure I don't. And then here you go doing little stupid stuff. House about to be on fire. Like we already ain't got no look. We already ain't got a whole lot. And if you about to burn down what little bit we do have, yeah, I was angry. So I told his little behind up.
Right. Right. Yeah, but I think
But
that
thank God he's learned from it though. He ain't no more forks in the socket.
well now he's just jumping out of plane. So I mean
Yeah.
so there's that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at least he's got, he's getting proper people to do it. So that's okay.
Right. It's a way to do things. If you want to experience something, This is why I tell them, if you think about something, write it down, research it. We discuss it as a group. We discuss it as a family. I research it. And when everybody is on the same page and comfortable, okay, let's how can we do this safely? How can we do this, without death? And, I mean, I got life insurance on everybody, but I won't use it.
Exactly. Money I don't need.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like it's just a conversation that needs to be had. Period. Like, I don't care who you are. The only time I can see, James, where a conversation don't really, well, it's necessary still, but it's like if somebody's spouse has passed away and then that person remarries. But that person still has, mom, sisters, and family.
Right. Well, I mean,
So
I think you should always have the conversation, especially about discipline and how you're going to
yeah,
raise your kids with
yeah,
your partner initially. And that's whether you have stepkids or even your own kids, because sometimes people go into relationships, they start having babies with each other, and then all of a sudden it's a totally different thing, from what they
yes,
expected,
yes.
Oh, I thought we
And
was
James,
going
did
to,
you see the
no,
video? It was a video, James. I don't know if you've seen it, where it was a situation where the stepdad, he was jerking the little daughter around. They were in front of, I don't know if they were home or at the mom's house, the girl's mom's house. And anyway, the stepdad, like, it was one kid in particular that he was just targeting, and he like grabbed her by her arm. He was yoking her. He was just, and the woman's sister seen it on the ring cam or security camera, got off of work and confronted the stepdad, like, right there. She was like, "You're gonna stop putting your hands on them." It was bad. Like, it was really bad. And that was his stepchild. And she was telling the aunt that was going off on the guy, was telling the sister, like, "You're either gonna choose a man or you're gonna choose your kids, because he cannot keep putting his hands on." I think the little girl name was Brooklyn. But it was bad. And I'm like, why would you, as a mother, why would you let anybody do that to your kid?
Right.
But it was a step parent. And that woman's family had to step in and check him, like, "You're not going to be putting your hands on my nieces. Like, you're going to stop this." And you can see all the other kids trying to protect that child from this guy. And he's, move, get out of my way. Like, he knocking her other kids down to get to that one child. I don't know what it was about that child. What did she do to this man? But he was a big guy. And this baby couldn't have been no more than 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
But it was his stepchild. And all I could think was, Lord, because there's no way on this earth any man could come in my life and do that to any. You wouldn't even do it to your own child in front of me, let alone mine.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely have conversations, guys. Like, we have to have these conversations. And even if you're not in it like me, I'm like I said, I'm looking for a stepdaddy. I ain't found one yet. I ain't caught one that I want to keep. I've been throwing them back in the pond, James. But yeah, like that's just speaking from a single woman that's in the dating world right now, that is a conversation that makes people so uncomfortable. Because I had a guy tell me probably about a month ago, he was like, you're too direct. And I'm like, so what, you rather me pretend it doesn't exist? Because that is one of my questions. Okay, how do you feel about being a step parent, and what is your definition of discipline and or like being encouraging? Like, how can you make my children better? He's like, well, why would I want to do that? Well, if you're talking about being serious with me, their mom, you don't just get me in the scenario. You get me and them. They're minors. So, I think that's that conversation. Yeah, I think that conversation is too heavy to have. Well, I mean, we're 3 months in to the quote unquote talking and figuring each other out. That is a huge part of figuring this out.
Right.
And he was like, well, yeah, I just think that's a bit much.
Your relationship got more serious, and then you decide to have that conversation and be like, oh, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah. But James, honestly though, a lot of people think that that's too heavy of a topic, 4 or 5 months into a budding relationship. I'm thinking 3 and 4 months later, I think that's a bit too late.
Right. I mean,
So
I think it's a conversation that needs to be had because it sets expectations. It's just like, where do you plan on this relationship going? That's, are you open to like further in a relationship? Because if your person is saying like, I'm just in this for fun, I'm just trying to, bang, slang,
right,
and jank, you know what I mean? And I
right.
need to know that up front because maybe I'll be with
I
it, maybe
need to
I won't.
know.
Maybe I'm down with it, maybe I'm not. But at least if we're having a conversation, we're talking about it, it's my choice.
Right.
You having a conversation early on about like, how do you see your role as coming into my kid's life? Where do you see yourself fitting in? What do you see yourself, contributing, or, do you plan on
Right.
contributing, or is it just, basically we're dating and these kids are just my responsibility and we pretend like they don't
Yeah.
exist?
They the background dancer.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the plan? If
I'm
he
David
says,
Ruffin, and I guess my kids are Temptations.
yeah, yeah. If he says to you like, look, I'm just here I'm here for you, but I ain't really trying to deal with your kids, then you at least thank you for letting me know and you can
Thank
make
you for letting me know.
that. Yeah. Like that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. So it is what
Right. And vice versa. Okay, you have children. How often do you see your kids? And those are the questions that I ask because you're not gonna sit up here and tell me you got 5 kids and you see, oh, I see them on their birthdays and Christmas, huh? So that right there is a dead giveaway in how you would treat my children and how you treat your own. So that is really one of you have children. Oh yeah, I have. Yes, no, whatever. If they have children, oh well, how often do you see your kids or what have you? Oh, I get them for I get them for birthday and no, that's not because see, if you do it to your own kids, mine don't stand a chance.
right.
Let's just go ahead on and get that check and I see you around, I guess.
Right, right.
But
Yeah.
but people don't like these conversations, James. They really, when I tell you they don't, they really don't.
Well, I mean, it's
You'll
better that,
get
like you
ghosted
said,
real fast.
it's better to have the conversation up front and,
Yes, I
be
agree.
honest
And
about
that's
it.
how I weed out the losers, that's how I weed them out.
Because otherwise, like I said, it's surprise, surprise, and then
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I was scared to say, you'd be surprised, surprised. But then too, it's like, how can you be surprised? Like I tell a friend of mine, she's going through it right now. I'm like, girl, this man got 3 kids. And you've been dating him for 2 years, and he's only seen those kids once in 2 years. Then you go and get a baby by him. I don't know why you thought it was going to be any different.
right, right,
Like, make it make sense. He already had 3 when y'all were dating that he didn't do nothing for, never saw him, never sent money, never did anything for him. Why did you feel like you were special, sweetie? You're not. Surprise, surprise. Now you're
Yeah,
crying the same tune that the other 2 mamas are saying.
right, right. When they was trying
Like,
to
I
win
don't,
you, you're laughing at them.
yeah, like, I don't get it. Like, how? I don't know. I got duped. Mine won't like that. He won't like that when we met and got married. He was not like that at all. He became that way years later, a decade later, because we were together for 6. We were together for 6 before, then the twins came, and then we divorced. So, yeah, we were together a total of 11 years.
Oh, okay.
And it was within that last year that he became somebody I had no clue. And I'm like, okay. But still, though, that's no excuse to not be there for your kids. And he's still making them, apparently. So, okay.
Well, shame on them. I
You
mean, I
know,
always say that too. Like if they already have kids and they're not seeing the kids they have and they really don't have any interest in trying to track those kids down or pursue seeing those kids,
yeah.
then you already know what you're dealing with. So somebody else did the hard lifting for you and told you what
And
it
then
was.
you act shocked when it's your turn up to the pitcher's mound. Why are we shocked? Why are we shocked? I don't get it. But again, yeah, let's have the conversations. I'm open. I'm here. I will have the conversation every day if I have to until I get this right stepdaddy, James. Because I'm giving myself 2 more years to find a stepdaddy. And then after 2 years, I might have to find him a stepmama. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I told my coworker, I said, yeah, I said, I got 2 more years to get a stepdad. I said, then I might start looking for a sister wife. I said 2 more. I'm gonna give it 2 more years, and I might have to find a sister wife.
There you go. To give you something to do.
Yeah, I need some company. I get a little bored here at the house sometimes.
There you go. You just get a roommate. You know, that's what they used to say back in the day.
And you know what? No, I don't. I can't. No. See, okay, and I think I put it in the chat. And that's another thing. Like, I don't want nobody. Like, you will have to have your own house, and I have my house. And you know, I come stay over there a night or two. You come stay over here a night or two. But I can't. You can't be in my space every day. I just can't do it. Yeah, I need. I don't know what you would call it. I'm gonna have to find a name. I don't know what it's called, but I don't. I don't want to live with nobody. I just because my stuff is exactly where I need it to be. I don't have room for your clothes. I don't have room for your stuff. So I don't know, James. I'm gonna have to find what is a co-boyfriend. You know, we just gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend Friday through Monday.
That convenience.
Friday through Monday, part time. I had to find a part-time spouse.
There you go.
Friday through Monday, we are a couple. We together. We doing family things, and then Tuesday through Thursday, I just need my space. I see you Friday evening.
Like, you got to find something to do. Yeah.
Yeah, because just people in your space all day. It's just it wears the soul out. It just really do.
I hear you.
It's I mean, bless all of you that are married and living together, and you know, everybody just can't. I don't think I could do that again. I really don't. I just don't feel in my spirit I could do that again. Cause I got my house laid out, James, how I want it. I got, you know, everything how I like it. I just don't. I don't got space for nobody to come in here and move, and I can't find my nail clipper, and you know, just come in and move your things around. You know, I got everything where I need it. Where's my lotion? I know I set my lotion right here on the nightstand. Now it's not here. Where is my stuff?
What are we doing? Yeah.
You know, just stressed out. Just be stressed out. People move your stuff. It's bad enough the kids do it. Now I don't need an extra person in here doing that. No, we can date Friday through Sunday or Monday. We'll do Friday through Monday.
There you go. All right. Well, I'll see you later. You go ahead and have a good week.
Yeah. Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I don't know. That's another issue that I'm working through. That's just me though. I guess I've been out here so long. I'm content, and I need to get uncontent. That's what my sister tell me.
I heard that.
Well, so I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that, though. There's nothing wrong with that.
You know, I don't know. And then too, I'm just scared. Like James, with this man, listen. So y'all, I know y'all seen where the DC has been off the chain since Saturday night. It has been crazy. Like, these people have lost their minds. The whole quote unquote assassination attempt, all that stuff. So you got a lot of wackos out here, and I'm just terrified to bring anybody in my space for real. And I'm about terrified to go in anybody else's space because they tricking people into these what's them dating sites and stuff, and these women going on these dates with these people, and then they not coming home, and I'm like, man, I just want some flowers, and I'll probably get another pet. I got a pet fish. Like, people stress me.
Don't let them get to you.
Like, it's terrifying. Like, I don't know about nobody else. It's just terrifying out here, James. Like, you know, if you have somebody, try to stick with them and make it work. Baby, y'all don't want to get out here in these dating streets. I'm telling you, it ain't worth it.
See, it's serious.
It ain't worth it.
All right, but let me let you go because I got one more person in the queue.
Okay.
But
all right. Well, I will still be listening. But yes, right. What's that song? Do the Stepdaddy? It's a song.
I know it was a thing.
Yes, it's a song. It's a song called "Do the Stepdaddy." That's what David gonna have to do. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, right. Just step
Yeah.
step. I'm telling you.
But all right, Jace, thank you for taking my call. Y'all know I try to call in when I can.
No, I appreciate you. Always a pleasure.
No worries. All right, I'll still be listening, y'all.
Okay. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
good night.
Bye. All right. Next up, we have Nada. Nada, what's going
Oh
on? How are
my
you?
gosh. Hello.
Welcome to the show.
I am a new member and
Okay, welcome.
I have been watching and listening to y'all, and I'm so happy that I'm able to make a live session. So
Okay.
hello.
Awesomeness. So, do you
Mhm.
have thoughts on the subject matter? I saw you were
Um,
you're a social worker, so
I
kind
am
of
a
curious what your
social
thoughts are.
I'm a social worker. I have a doctorate in family science, so I have a couple of thoughts about this issue
Okay.
just because I thought that I was going to research it eventually, like in my career, that I was going to research just how step parents, how that relationship can be, their relationship between the two who got married. They think everything is all fine and dandy,
Hmm.
but when they have the children who came together, and it's not all fine and dandy. And what happens when they get older
Right.
and they have to, and you are thinking about like taking care of your stepfather who's now 80 years old, or you're thinking about taking care of your stepmother who you weren't really that close to, or there's just a lot of questions about that. And I don't think that the research has tackled that in a way that is meaningful for how
Mm.
people live their lives. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Well, because I think too, like there's, like I said, there's so much information that's out. Well, some of it is, if we be honest, be frank about it, some of it's disinformation, because it focuses so heavily on the extreme cases, uh, and particularly because they're more sensational. And
Mhm.
because those are the cases that people tend to focus on, I think that there's not you usually find people when you talk about becoming a step parent or the possibility of being a step parent, it usually gets shifted into one of two buckets. Like people are really opposed to it, or people have experienced it and they had a good experience with it and they're for it. And I think that there has to be more of a balance in how we address it and how we view it, because it goes beyond. I think that there are elements which could create problems when you enter into a relationship with a person who has other people that you have to appease in order for that relationship to work. Obviously, because it's challenging enough for you to find one person that you get along with. But then when you add on the fact that I got to also get along with and win over your children, that becomes a further complication in the parent
Exactly.
of those other children that I'm going to have
Right.
to deal with. That becomes an additional complication. But I think that the primary relationship, if the primary relationship is strong, I think that that's where the pass fail ratio kind of starts.
You think so?
If the primary relationship between the two spouses, like, well, two spouses, but the two people involved, I think that that's where it has to start. Because if they don't have, like, kind of what we were talking about with Megatron, if they don't
Mhm.
have open communication as to what the role of the step parent is going to be and how it's going to play out within the family dynamic that they have, they just kind of get together like, I like you, you like me, we're going to get together as a big old family, but we never have those conversations. Then I think that it leads to disaster. You know what I mean? I think that that's the first part. I'm not saying it's all reliant on that, because you can have you
That
know
has to have a strong foundation, though. You're
right,
right
absolutely,
about that. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I also think that it's that it might be the researcher in me coming out that's like,
Mhm.
we put so much emphasis on the romantic relationship between the two adults
Right.
at that moment that they decide and that they're able to make a commitment to each other that's legally binding,
Mm.
religiously binding, all of those things. And yet it's going to be the children that's going to have to kind of step up to the plate and take care of the step parent, or further recognize that this is our family,
Right.
that and and I just I have questions about how that comes about and how that's recognized. And
Mm,
we just don't have enough, there's not enough people doing studies about that.
right.
There's so much, there are so many studies about the beginning of that relationship, the beginning of blended families. So my mother, she was married to my stepfather for 30 years. Oh my gosh, he was wonderful. I loved him. I introduced him to people as my father because he treated me as a daughter. He treated my mother as his wife. And
Right.
so um and he passed away, and that was when all of the other fissures came around, right? Like the, oh well, you were only married to him for so many years,
Mm,
or oh, you weren't around at this juncture of their relationship.
right.
um and then when we get to money, oh my gosh, James, now you know about when folks start talking about money,
Right.
things start getting difficult,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who
Yes.
gets what? Yeah, that's usually when the
Who gets
rules
what
come out.
and when, exactly, exactly. And so I have a lot of, it may just be because he was such a, he accepted me as his daughter, not a stepdaughter, but a daughter. And he accepted my children as his grandchildren, not step grandchildren.
Mhm.
That it's just it gets to be kind of, I don't want to say messy. That's not the right word, but it gets to be more complicated. It gets to be a little
Right.
bit more nuanced.
Right.
And we just don't have the language or the terminology or even the acknowledgement of those relationships. That
Mm.
relationships, that human relationships are just a bit more messy than we give them credit for.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I think that
Yeah.
there's because even with that, I think that because I think that that's a very strong point when you talk about so much focus being on the romantic end of the relationship as a
Hmm.
primary focus. But I also think that there's a point too where if we're looking at the kids specifically coming into that relationship is where they start. And so if
Right.
they come in and they have the mentality that they're open to a person coming into the family because maybe they're a little more stable, but they're a little more settled, they're a little more secure in themselves
Hmm.
as far as their relationship and who they are and their relationships with their biological parents, then a step parent coming in isn't as offensive or as threatening. But if you have somebody who's not sure or insecure about how they fit into their family, maybe they have abandonment issues or whatever the case may be, and then
Yep.
you have somebody coming into that family and they're trying to take the role of a parent. Like, how are you going to be my parent when my dad didn't want me? How are you going to be my
Exactly.
parent when my mom
James,
didn't want me?
hello?
You know?
Yes,
And so I think
right.
that kind of adds to it too. And that also creates some of the barriers and some of the hurdles and obstacles that a step parent may face as they enter into these relationships. So, I'll say this about job interviews, but I'll say this about family things too. When you go on these dates or you go on these interviews, you have to interview them too. It's not just you trying to prove that you're worthy to be in that family, but you're trying to figure out if this family fits with you. And if
Yeah.
you jive with this family as well, can you cross that Rubicon with this child to make them feel like they're part of your family? Because you may feel like I'm gonna open up this family and this is gonna be my kid, and they're gonna be, as far as I'm concerned, blood or not, they're gonna be my child. But if they don't feel, they're not ready to feel. And I'm not even gonna say they don't want to feel that way, but
But
if
they're
they're not
not ready.
emotionally ready, right,
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
it's unfair for you to ask or make that demand of them because they just don't. They might not have the tools to be able to do it, and that could
Yep.
become complicated.
The
And these are some of the
tools,
things I think.
the coping strategy, the cognitive ability, the executive functioning to
Mhm,
even be there, to be able to meet that co-parent where that co-parent is able to meet them, all
mhm.
those things. You are hitting it on so many different levels, James. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, absolutely. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm just thinking my way through it, but I just think that that's part of the thing. And these are some of the challenges that you have to enter into these relationships with, and some of the things that you have to think about as you start to ponder entering into these relationships. And I think that that's important because it's nice to think as everything comes down to level, make it all right. But we have to throw a little logic into it too. And especially
Mhm.
when you're dealing with, because you are dealing with so many different loose factors as far as like the children and the other parent. And we're not just talking,
Yep.
we'll be honest, we're not just talking about the other parent. We're also talking about grandparents. We're
Yep.
talking about extended family and people who have been involved with this child from birth, maybe not the parent, but the, dad or
The
mom.
aunties,
Right,
the
exactly.
father's siblings, the
Mhm.
father's parents,
Right.
all those extra, all those ex. I don't want to call them extraneous, but all of the other people that are involved in that child's life.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. Extra
Yeah.
voices. They're extra
Hmm.
voices who are going to have a say in your life, in your situation. And I think that that has to be taken into account, especially as you start to move into these relationships, because everybody, I think, everybody doesn't necessarily deserve to have ample space, but people who have been involved with this child deserve to have a say, especially if they
Mm.
predate you.
I wonder about that. I wonder about that if they deserve to have a space or if their if their voice can be heard and acknowledged
Mhm. Well, when I
and be
say
part
deserve
of
to have
that
a space,
discourse, right?
what
But
I'm
not
what
like have the same level.
Right, right. Well, what I'm saying
Hmm.
is that not necessarily get a say as far as they get to make decisions, but if we're approaching it that it takes a village to raise a child type of approach, right? And these people are part of that child's village. Other people are part of that child's community, and maybe
Hmm.
they've existed in that community as a support system for that child prior to you coming in. It's
Okay,
unfair
right,
for, as I'm coming in as a stepfather, coming in saying, you know what, auntie, uncles, grandmom, grandpa, all of them are out. It's all about
right,
me and this family. Because I'm
right.
not just, it would be easier for me and it's easier for the person that I'm with, but it's not easier on their child because their child is used to having these other people. So I think that part of that consideration is us learning, and kind of what Megatron was saying. We all have to approach it as adults, and
Mm.
we're all interested in the best interests of the child and what's best for the child. I think that's the best place to start, as opposed to necessarily what makes me feel comfortable or what makes me feel better in my situation. We're approaching it from like, what's the best interest of the child? Fine. It might make sense for auntie and uncles to be able to have conversations or pick up the phone and be able to call them and talk to them because they're a support system. But it
Right.
might not make sense for them to come over and start trying to, whip tail or discipline the child every time they mess up. That doesn't necessarily make sense because it disrupts the household. You know what I mean? So there are
Mm.
boundaries. And I think that that's a conversation that also has to be had because there has to be boundaries which are set between everybody involved. Like, how far do you go? How much are you involved in? Where do you start? Where do I stop?
Which is so difficult to like even try to imagine because the two people who have decided to be in the relationship, they're in that new relationship energy, right?
Mhm.
They're like, "Oh, it feels so good. It
Right.
feels good to be loved. It feels good to be recognized and all that stuff." And everyone else is like, "Well, I'm not in that relationship like you are. I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
in
not
that
feeling like
relationship
you
the
feel
same." Exactly. I'm not feeling like you
it.
feel it. Oh my gosh. My mother was the same way. She was married to my stepfather for almost 30 years before he passed away. And he was a wonderful stepfather. And um, but they were when they told me that they were going to get married, I
Mhm.
was like, who is he? And
Right.
who is he to you? And you're
Right.
just now telling me that, but they were in that new relationship energy and it felt so good and it felt so right and all those things, right? But
Mhm.
no one else was feeling it the same way that they were feeling it.
Right.
And 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 it's difficult to kind of, I think, as being the person in that relationship to step out of that and say, okay, this may be how my kids are feeling, or this may be how my siblings how my siblings may view this relationship, or this may be how it may look from the outside in for folks who don't really know.
Right.
And I'm not saying, like change it or change your feelings. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like just be cognizant that
Mhm.
the way that how you're feeling and how you're thinking about this relationship may not be how others are interpreting it as well,
Right, right.
right?
Well, because I
Just
think that. Oh, I'm
mhm.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. No, James, go ahead.
I was just thinking, like in tandem with what you just said, that I think that there's also a point too where part of the resistance that people have when you talk about their new relationship is that any talk about their relationship, when you say we have to think about this rationally or reasonably or logically, when you approach it that way, they see any objective view of their relationship as being negative.
Yep,
You know what I mean? And then you're
yep,
trying to break us up. You see, you don't want me to be happy. It's not that I don't want you to be
right.
happy. I just want you to think about what it is you're doing, because I don't want you just to be happy today. I want you to be happy tomorrow and 10 years from now. I don't want you to be
Exactly.
excited today and in 2 years your heart broke trying to pick up the
Exactly.
pieces. So that's why, the family members may coming at it maybe coming at the relationship with clearer
Mhm.
vision and clearer eyes as to what's actually happening in a relationship. Maybe they see red flags that you don't, because you're
Right.
excited. It's new, it's exciting.
Because you're new, you're in that haze, you're in
Right.
that fog, and they see, oh wait, this is just like old dude from 10 years ago, or
Right.
this is just like what you told me to tell you last time this happened. This is happening
Right.
right now. And you
Yeah.
told me. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's funny because as you say that, it's like, he's exactly like the last guy you just dated. Because that's usually what it is. Like, he's the last guy.
They be like, oh no, girl, he is real different. It
Right.
is
He's
different.
different.
It is not the same. And they be
You
like,
don't
it is,
know.
he got the same initials, girl.
Right. Right.
It is it looks real the same.
Right. 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 Like, this could be his twin brother. I'm telling you. They even look alike because you got a type.
You made me snort. Oh my god. Okay, wait, start. Sorry, I snorted on the internet. Okay, wait. That's hilarious. Exactly. You're like, this looks real familiar. This looks
Right.
real
Right.
familiar. Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, I don't want to take any more of your time, James. I am a new member. This is so much fun to come because y'all are amazing. Oh my God. All the people who come, I'm like, y'all are Megatron. She's like a movie star to me. It is just so cool to just be in your orbit and to kind of be here. And I'm just really thankful. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate your knowledge, and I appreciate your input.
Thanks
Uh,
so much, James.
a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Awesome. Nada came up right off off the top rope. Fantastic. But I think that's actually between Megatron Rockstar and Nada, I think that they stress really good points. Like, because there's a lot of things that as we talk about, and we're definitely going to get into it on Thursday. As we talk about like entering into these relationships, how important it is, any relationship really. Like, we're gonna keep it all the way above, guys. It's any relationship that you really want to have open communication. You want to be able to talk to people. You want to be able to get to the hard subjects first. Like, don't be afraid to address those hard subject matters. And even Megatron, I'll give Megatron credit right here. Give her flowers right here. Like the idea that you're willing to have difficult conversations. Because if we think about it, isn't that the foundation of you being in a healthy relationship? If you're in a healthy relationship, you should be able to go to your partner and have a difficult conversation when you need to. By definition, if you're in a relationship, you should be able to, the one person, if you're not going to talk to anybody else, the one person that you should be able to go and have a difficult conversation with, and maybe difficult ideas or difficult situations, and have that hard conversation with, it should be your partner. And if you can't have that difficult conversation with your partner, then your problems are deeper than just that conversation. Your problems are going to be deeper than just that conversation. If I can't come to you and tell you what my hopes, dreams, aspirations, fears, concerns, You know, what are the things that I want to do with my life? If I can't come and have that conversation with you, and maybe sacrifices that I need to make, or if I have a partner, what that partner may involve them in, and sacrifices that they too, because of the close proximity of me, that they may have to make sacrifices as well in order for me to do this. If I can't have that conversation with them, what are we doing? What are we doing? And if one of your chief concerns is, especially as a parent, is what about my kids, and I can't have that conversation with you, then that might be your first big burst of a red flag that this might not be the person that you is right for you. If you can't have that conversation, you know, because I think that is one of the things that, you know, is definitionally, aside from like kind of what Nada was saying, aside from like the super excitement about like the new activities and things that you guys are participating in, maybe the gratification of spending time with somebody who is, you know, you find attractive or whatever the case may be. Even beyond that, I think that you really want to have a space where you can be who you are, and you can be vulnerable with that person. And if you can't be vulnerable with them, what are we doing? If I still have to put up if I have to hide myself back, what are we trying to accomplish here? Especially when it's something as important as my kids, because if you're a parent and hopefully your kids are important to you, I would hope. And if your kids are important to you, then it might require a hard or difficult conversation. And if they're like, I don't want to talk about that, then I'm not sure what we're doing exactly. You know? So I think that those are really good points. I think those are really strong points. With regard to because again, we'll extend this conversation to Thursday. If you guys want to leave a speak pipe, by all means, call in, leave a speak pipe message. If you don't feel comfortable calling in, Nada, she jumped right in. So hopefully folks aren't intimidated. Don't feel like they can't call in. Promise I won't bite. It's usually a good conversation. I think I'm an easygoing enough person. By all means, call in. If ever, and I want to make sure that I make this very clear, if you ever disagree with something I say, please don't be afraid to call in. Please don't be afraid to write it down. This is not a channel where you have to agree with everything I say. It's not that kind of, we're not running that kind of party. I respect people's opinions and their perspectives. If somebody disagrees with what I say, I have no problem with people disagreeing with what I'm saying. I think that it's healthy that, sometimes we have our positions challenged. If I got up here and I said that under no circumstance should you ever, as a man, sign up to be a stepfather for a child that ain't yours because biologically, blah, blah, blah. And I made that a point. And somebody said, James, that's foolish because, that's not how I live my life. That's not who I am. That's not how I approach my relationships. And everything you said is completely irrelevant to how I actually conduct myself. So if I find a man, I have kids, and if I find a man and we get married or we start getting serious, then those issues that you pointed out are not a factor for me. Or I've been with somebody for years. He's a stepfather of my kids, or I'm a stepfather to somebody's kids, and that's not my experience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have no problem with you blowing me out and telling me I'm wrong. You know what I mean? In some cases, to be honest with you, with some of my assessments on some things, I hope I'm wrong. I try to bring the evidence, try to bring the support to back up what I'm saying and to create foundation for my logic. But, I would love to hear that no, things aren't as bad as you're saying that they are, right? People are taking their time and entering into relationships. They're entering into these relationships with good minds, good hearts, and good intentions. I would love to think that, but sometimes it doesn't prove out to bear the case. When it comes to, like I said, entering into these relationships, I think that it kind of, as I was talking about with Nada, I think that there's a lot of things that are misconstrued, and it's unfortunate. I think that there are some single moms who are about their kids and are deserving of finding a good partner, that are being denied the opportunity to have good partners because there's so much information. There's such a hard press for men to try to avoid women with children. I don't think that necessarily having a child spoils anybody. I don't think it ruins anybody. I don't think that that's the thing. I think it's more or less your success in that relationship depends on where you are, where the person that you're trying to court is, and where their kids are, and then all the people that are around that person. Because people part relationships for all kinds of reasons. Not everybody leaves a relationship because somebody crazy, or they cheating, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes you have two adults who recognize that the relationship just isn't going to work out, that they aren't good for one another, and they part ways, and they do so in a way where they maybe don't like each other, but they can at least co-parent with each other. And when they approach co-parenting, they approach co-parenting like adults, and they view like people who come into the relationship. They're not judging you based on being jealous, through jealousy or envy. Parents are looking at potential step parents as, are you good for my child, as opposed to, am I scared of you coming into the family because you're going to replace me, right? Those are two totally different exercises we talk about. If they're afraid that you're going to replace them, or you're going to take their space, or they're jealous or envious of you because you're spending so much time with their kid, or you laying down with their, ex, or whatever the case may be, that relationship is going to be hell on wheels, because they're going to do everything they can to try to make your relationship difficult and make your relationship fail. Whereas if you have somebody who is being mature and they're looking at the best interest of the child, then yeah, I think that that's a different experience. And I think that'll probably be an experience where, I think somebody, Kody, had said it earlier, like, you may have some butt heads in the beginning of a relationship, but before you're all done, you could have a situation where you guys are sharing holidays and birthdays together. You sit up there carving turkeys on Thanksgiving, with the other person, either at their house or at your house. And I think that for the child's sake, if we're just looking at it through the lens of the children, I think that's the best scenario for the children. Because I'm a big proponent, and this will be one of the last things I say. I know I'm kind of droning on you guys, like, shut the hell up, James. But I think one of the best things for a child is it takes a village approach. I'm a huge fan of that. I think that the more people that are in a child's life, supporting that child, encouraging that child, and being there as not just as in a parental role, but being there just as a person who, as a third party or intervening third party, who can say, yo, man, you did the wrong thing. Yo, man, you did the right thing. Hey, man, you might have made a mistake there. Young lady, you might have did this, that, and other. I think that is more valuable to a child, because, as parents, we like to think that we're the end all be alls and we got all the power and all the rules. But sometimes a coach, a auntie, uncle, cousin, older cousin, or somebody they look up to can come in and say the exact same thing a parent said. Say the exact same thing a parent just got finished lecturing 3 hours. They say something like a 2-sentence blurb on the same subject matter, and the child will listen to that uncle, auntie, cousin, or whoever. So if you have somebody and they're working for the betterment of your children, I think that it just behooves you to have those people in your child's life, and sometimes you have to do that, even though it might not make you feel comfortable to do it. Like, you don't like their ass or whatever, or you don't necessarily want them around, because that is a complication, having the biological parent coming around. It's somewhat easier for the step parent and their new significant other to cut the biological parent out, because it's one less obstacle that you have to deal with, but it's not to the benefit of the children if you do that. generally. Yeah, but yeah, mom will show. Thank you. Not. I'm trying to build a skill set so I can do it. Yeah, but that's where I'm at. That's my as Linda would say, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I want to thank Nada and Megatron for calling in. Thank all you guys for leaving your messages and participating in the chat. It was amazing. I am going to bid you guys adieu for now. And we're going to continue this conversation on Thursday because I think that this is a great conversation. And there's a video I wanted to show you. And in fact, I might try to find a counterbalance to the video. Oh, we got a Raiders Ma in the house and Daisy Reyes. What's going on, ladies? Hey, Linda's here. Ty, what's going on? But as we move through it, when we come back on Thursday, we're going to have I'm going to drop those videos, and I want to have a counterbalance because I don't think it shows necessarily a whole universe of what being a step parent is. Like, I think a lot of this is very sensational. I will agree with that. But I think it's a good place to get the conversation started because let's be honest, especially as you get older, the likelihood that you're going to be in your 30s. And if you're single, 30s and 40s, and you're in a dating pool, it's going to be very difficult for you to find somebody who doesn't have children. Right. And so how you approach those situations and navigate those situations, I think is very important. I think that's going to be very important. It was just positive adults are so needed. My aunties were amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. You be surprised. Like, oh, you know what? I'll give a quick story time. Speaking of that, story time. When I was a young man, when I was a very young man, when I was a child, I had difficulty learning to read. I was dyslexic, right? So it wasn't crazy bad, but it was bad enough where I had to go to a different school and learn workarounds and that kind of thing. I went to a private school, learn workarounds, so on and so forth. And so I went, by the time I was in fourth grade, I went to, I think, 4 different schools. Green Street. I went Green Street Friends, Edmonds, Pastorius. Yeah, I went to 4 different schools by the time I was in 4th grade. And when I went into Catholic school, I went into parochial school in 5th grade. Had a test in, so obviously the lessons and stuff that I was learning were working. So I got into parochial school, and there was a nun, Sister Rosemary, and she was in charge of like picking people. Like, she did the choir and things like that, and she had to pick people. Sometimes she picked students to read in the church, right, on Sunday. And she picked me. She came to me and asked me, James, you have such a good voice. I think you should read this weekend for the response. And I'll never forget. I remember where I was when I was standing there talking to an excellent woman, Sister Rosemary. She passed away, but RIP. But she encouraged me to do it. Then I went and I did it. And while I was reading, and this is the first time I ever did anything public speaking wise, and I'm up there reading and I'm doing the responses. And so basically a response is just, you read one thing and a response is like, I tell them what the response is. After I finish a verse, they give the response. And I'm doing that. And I have people like shouting during the responses. And then I heard one person say, "Amen, brother." And I was filled with such enthusiasm after that. And after that, I was hooked on public speaking. And so in no small part do I give credit to Sister Rosemary and the person who yelled out. Years later, years and years later, I'm talking about when I was an adult, and I'm not even talking about like I'm saying maybe 15 years ago, I found out that the person who was shouting and saying amen, brother, was actually my uncle. And I had no idea. I had no idea that there was him, right? But he gave me such a confidence boost just from that encouragement that it led me to, it opens a lot of doors for me. Like I've done public speaking since that time. I've done public speaking at both at like as a child and leadership conferences, and I was doing speeches and lectures at different places in college. I've done addresses. I've did speaking at my high school graduation. Like I did public, like I just enjoy it. It's just something I really enjoy doing. And it was just that one instance of having that support. And that's why I'm such a big fan of you know, people supporting, like having as many people support your child as possible. Because when we push, if we're gonna cut, you know, we're gonna cut to the bone. My parents were always supportive of me. My parents were like my number 1 and 2 cheerleader, hands down. I should say number 1 and number 1 cheerleaders, hands down, have always been my parents. They've always had my back. When people say that I can't do something, they're the first one. You full of shit. My kid can do whatever he want to do, et cetera, et cetera. When I was in kindergarten, I had a teacher tell my mother, and I never forget it. This was, I want to say the name of the school, but I almost did it, y'all. But a teacher looked my mother in the face and said, first grade, it was first grade. She looked my mother in the face and said, your son will never learn to read. And my mother looked that lady in the face and said, bullshit. Bullshit. Oh, my son gonna learn to read. You might not be the one to teach him, but he gonna learn. And at that point, she pulled me out of that school. And that's when she put me in a private school. And she made sure that I had the tools necessary in order for me to be able to learn to read and understand things and find workarounds for my I guess fairness, disability. But I don't feel like it's a disability because it gives me the ability to see things differently than most people see it. It's just that my brain works different. And that's how I saw it. I never felt bad for myself. So my number one cheerleaders have always been my parents. But in addition to that, these other people who were placed in my life, placed in my path, actually led me to find things out about myself and give me encouragement that my parents, even though they were supporting me and even though they were saying I could do it too, those additional voices really reinforced what my parents had already instilled in me. And that's why I think that like the whole idea of having a village is so important for kids. Because, you know, parents can't, like, we like to think that, you know, we Americans, we like to think it's all about the power of the individuals. I can do whatever I want to do by myself. I don't need nobody else. But the truth of the matter is that many hands can make even the heaviest job light. And when you have many people supporting a child, many people encouraging a child, many people there for a child, whether it's through counsel or advice or just, you know, raw support, cheering them on, it makes a difference. It makes a difference, not only in that child's life, but in their confidence, how they see themselves, their self-esteem, you know? Because when you couldn't tell me shit after I heard that man say, amen, brother, amen, woo, you know, praise the Lord. And this is, like I say, this is Catholic. This is a Catholic church. And they ain't used to shouting in the Catholic church. Like if it was Baptist church, hey, normal. Hey, Sunday. That's what happens. Catholic church, they never heard anybody say that. Even Sister Rosemary, after I got done, she came up to me like, we never had nobody say amen after somebody got finished. You did an amazing job. That instance alone, like I said, that took me to the next level. So and this is also why I say, you know, you never know what people need as you're giving it to them. You know, like it might not have been a thing for my uncle to do that. It would, you know, it might not have been a big deal to him. I know that there was some like my cousin, he was a little embarrassed because his dad was doing that. But they don't understand how significant that was to me. Right. And how I needed that, especially, you know, not even now I'm thinking about it, especially when I grow up and I'm told that I can't do something, to have, not only am I being successful at doing the thing because I'm reading in front of church. When a lady had told me not even 3-4 years ago that I was never going to be able to read, much less be able to stand in front of a congregation full of people and read in front of a room of people and do well at it. Right? So when you get that burst of encouragement, that shit means a lot. It means a lot. And even from the selfish nature of a child looking at it, when your parents say that you can do something, or they say that I knew you could do it, or congratulations on doing this thing awesome, of course you're going to say that because you're my mom and dad. You've always supported me. You're going to support me no matter what. But it lands different when somebody who doesn't have to support you supports you. And you feel, and you just see it different. I think that that's part of the mixture. So, I'm sorry, y'all. I went a little far on my little, my Wayback Machine, a little story time. But again, this is part of the reason why I'm a big fan of, because I see how the village has helped me, and I think that if we can help one another, and that's part of the whole purpose of like the group here, like if we can help each other as a group, I think that there are things that we can encourage each other in, maybe kind words that we can provide for one another that we normally don't think about the importance of. Maybe it doesn't mean a lot to you that you say this thing, but it might mean the world to somebody who needs to hear it at that moment. Because I think that's kind of a big thing too. Like it might not mean much to you, but it means the world to the person who needed to hear that message at the time. Like that was a message I needed to receive at the time. It was right on time when I received that message. Amen, brother. Those 2 words changed my life, y'all. Because it's what I needed at the time. I needed to hear it at the time. But speaking of which, we have a segment in the show. I want to make sure I get this in as well, called Hearts in the Chat. This is important to me because, like I said, I think that it takes a village. And not only does it take a village to raise a child, but I think it takes a village for us to build a community where we can sit and support each other and encourage each other and help to build walls for each other as we enter into the world and we deal with the outside world, because the world can be a cold, cruel place. So the power of association and people we choose to spend our time with, people we choose to associate with, I think really makes a difference. And then if you have a place where you can get that encouragement, take that encouragement and run with it. So I want to do a hearts in the chat for people who just need to have those that feel that support, feel like they're part of the community. Let's put some hearts in the chat for those individuals just to support the community and support people who may just feel like they're a part of something, right? In addition, we have some people who specifically have, maybe shared some things that they were going through. I don't want to put their business in the street. I'm not that guy. They're free to call in and share their stuff if they want to, and what they're going through and what they need. But I'm not going to do that. But I do want to recognize some individuals who have come to my attention. Again, if you guys want to be included, by all means, just let me know. I will be happy to include you. But we have Negla 3, Brittany Not Brittany, Jody Periscala, Carmel Cuties, Megatron, Miss Betty Aldridge, Kathy Ferran, Allison Gaines, Marlo Peterson, Ann Team, Ty, and Lit Mom. So, and you know what? I thought I put Susie Q in there too. Susie, I don't know if you want to be included or not, but I'm gonna throw you in there tonight. Susie Q, dang on it. Because I know that you had some things going on, and it's not necessarily. And here's the thing, guys. It's not necessarily hearts in the chat aren't just for people who are experiencing difficulties. It's also for people who are experiencing changes in their lives, things that they're excited about, and they're looking forward to. They've been working on it, and I want to give them that support, because just to let them know, give them that kind of thumbs up, pat on the back electronically, just because change can be scary. And as you pursue and chase things that you want, and maybe you've been dreaming about, as you get closer to achieving those things, you know, whether it's kids or jobs or whatever the case may be, as you get close to achieving those things, it gets scary. And part of the reason why it gets scary is because it's quantifiable at that point. If you quantify it, if I want to have kids and I can't have kids, then it is what it is. If I have an opportunity to have a child and I'm getting close to having a child, I'm going through the process and the steps of having a child or a baby. And as I get close to that day where I might be able to have a child and bring that child home, now the shit is real. Now the shit is scary because now I actually have something to lose, right? And so even in that instance, even though it's a great thing that people are moving forward with their jobs and careers or growing their families or, whatever the case may be, buying a home and they're getting close to it, it's a scary thing. And that's part of the reason why I like to put hearts in the chat for those individuals as well, because it could be a scary thing because now, like I said, there's a nervousness of I'm so close to achieving this thing. And now, if it doesn't go through, I'm going to be destroyed. It's going to destroy me. So I want to give them some support there. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, that's where we are. We're going to, like I said, this will be a subject matter. Thank you guys so much. I see Carmel Kitty's in the house. What's going on? What's going on, girl? Lizzie B in the house. What's happening? What's happening? We're going to be addressing this again. Not necessarily the same thing, but we're going to be talking about the step parent thing because I will have the video uploaded and checked and downloaded for Thursday. So we'll be doing that original precept or concept because I really enjoyed the conversations tonight. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'll give a huge shout out to Carmel Cuties, Lizzie B, and of course Brittany Not Brittany, the Mega Mod Squad, as well as Megatron and Nada, the new member. What's going on, Nada? Appreciate you. And everybody in the chat, Jody, whether it's Jody Periscala, Daisy Reyes, Susie Q, Megatron, of course, in the house. Did I say Megatron? I don't know if I said Megatron. Megatron was one of the callers. Linda, we have so many folks. Katie, just trying to pick folks out. Raiders Ma, but thank you guys all so much. Let me give you a little something for participating, keeping it cool in the chat, keeping everything cool, and being supportive of one another. Thank you so much. All right, that's the show for tonight, guys. I want you to have a fantastic rest of your evening and a most awesome day tomorrow. Because, if you're here, you wake up, it's an opportunity for you to change things and make things better. So even if you had a bad day today, tomorrow is an opportunity for you to have an amazing day. All right. Oh, wait, hold on. We got a phone call. Carmel Cuties, what's going on?
I'm not going to keep you. I know you're trying to leave. I've been trying to get in for about 2 minutes now. My reception's horrible here. I just want to know your Thursday call, Thursday live. Is it just going to be speak pipe, or are you going to leave it open for us to call in as well?
Oh, yeah, you can always leave a speak pipe. Yeah, by all means.
No, I am. But unfortunately, my new work schedule, Tuesday nights, I work until 7 p.m. So I don't take my break until 5. And I see, it's a little late for you. I know you're on the East Coast. So I just wanted to make sure if Thursday rolls around and we're going to repeat the topic, that I'll have a chance to call in because I'll be off at 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're going to be talking about step parents once again.
Okay. I just wanted to say I had an amazing stepdad. He didn't cross any lines. He was Mr. Mom when my mom couldn't be mom. But somewhere along the lines, he fell off in life. And even though we are trying to work on our relationship, when it comes down to it, he chose everybody. He got 6 kids and 9 grandkids, and only 3 are biologically his. So he set the standards when it comes to what a man and a father should be for me. And if I can't nobody else replicate that, then it ain't worth it. Like, you can't leave your kids open and susceptible to just any and everybody for the sake of saying you got a man. But I'm gonna talk more on that on Thursday. So just wanted to check in, say hello, and let you know I'll be back on Thursday to finish this conversation.
Awesome. Awesome. Look forward to it. Thank you for calling in.
Welcome. I appreciate you. I appreciate this community. And hey, we're gonna keep checking come Thursday because I got a lot to say. I love the topic, so I'm gonna
All
keep
right. All right. Looking forward to it.
All righty.
All right. Awesome. Carmel Cutie's coming in, swooping in at the last moment to save the day. All right, guys, that's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality. Make sure you come back on Thursday where we're going to continue the conversation. And Carmel Cutie's calling in. She's going to give her 2 cents. You know it's going to be spicy. So be ready for that. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going to have a good time. We're going to keep the good times rolling. But thank you guys so much. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been my take on reality. And I'm out.